We are live, and it's another hangout.
It is.
Diane and Jenny, thanks for saying hi in the chat already. We're glad to have you with us.
My beard is gone, as some people might notice. That's strange. It's been a very strange week. It's been with me for at least 7 years, I think. But I decided to cut it for no other reason than that it was exciting.
The topic for today's hangout is going to be vegan for the animals. So we're going to talk about, the ethical aspect of being a vegan. We're going to talk about how to best maybe promote ethical veganism, and what is ethics anyway. And we'll also talk a little bit about how to act around other people that are not vegans, and should we point fingers when they're eating, and this kind of thing. So a little bit of everything relating to veganism in general as an ethical outlook.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Aneta.
Aneta says that you look great. Yeah, you do look good.
Yeah, I'm still thinking on what is the optimal length of beard. But yeah,
that eternal question. Yeah. How long should my beard be? As usual, thanks to everyone watching. You guys, if you're watching, you can say hello in the chat if you haven't done so already, of course. Or you may not. If you want to just hang out and not be active in the chat, that's fine as well. If you're watching the recording of this, which we'll publish on YouTube a few weeks after this live hangout, you can know that you can join the next one by going to patreon.com, where we share exclusive content like this.
Mm-hmm. So
it's been a good day. We've been out shopping for stuff to our new house. We're living in this little house now.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, we have a pretty epic bookshelf going.
Yeah, Michael has organized all the books.
Yeah, we have a lot of books. That's one of the few possessions that we have a lot of. Like we've been getting rid of stuff over the years, and this is one of the things that we've kept. Some of it we've gotten rid of a lot of books as well, though. But it's nice to have a few books.
It's also nice to be in this small house. It's basically it feels very much like it's ours. Like we're paying rent, but it basically goes to the farm upkeep. All small things that costs money for the farm. So we're very happy. It's going to be a little while staying here.
Yeah. All right. So let's get right into it. If you have any questions at all during the chat, during the hangout, go ahead and ask us a question anytime.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. Like rather than us just having a monologue or a dialogue or whatever, the point is also to have you guys, take part.
Mm-hmm.
Olivier says, hi there, guys, watching you from Belgium. Thank you. Cool to have you on board.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. All right. So a lot of people here today.
Yeah.
On our hangout which is nice. So let's get right into it. First of all, for those that don't know, I mean, you guys watching now live, of course, but there are maybe people that don't know the idea of ethical veganism. What is it? What is veganism all about? And of course, vegan is good for your health, and it's good for the environment, and it's also good for the animals, obviously, that they can live rather than die and be exploited. So ethical veganism is the aspect of veganism that focuses on not exploiting animals, letting every single animal be what they're here to be, which is happy and enjoy life and be free and not be exploited for food or other items.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh,
yeah.
Continue.
Okay. So that's basically what ethical veganism is. And, we both have been eating meat our whole life.
Yeah.
Well, actually, when I was a kid, I was a self-proclaimed vegetarian at one point.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like meat. But I did like McDonald's hamburgers, so I couldn't say I was completely vegetarian.
But they're so far away from meat. It's like
strange.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's the same with me, really. I was eating meat only when it was really, really processed. So I wouldn't eat a steak.
Yeah,
I've
so-
never had steak.
We had a natural disgust towards meat, but no ethical concerns really. Although this is always there, though. Have you noticed? Everyone has this underlying natural inclination towards loving animals and being kind to animals. It's just when we get someone else to do the slaughter for us, then it's easier. That's why a lot of people eat meat without thinking about it. And I think when people go hunting, they have this is a kind of different kind of relationship with animal than when you go to the store and buy something. So, but yeah, at one point we went vegetarian, which was...
Well, you went vegetarian first.
Sure. We went vegetarian eventually. We, stopped eating meat. It was mostly due to health and compassion. Like, the meat thing, it was part of it.
Well, actually, for me, I remember becoming vegetarian when I started getting into Buddhism and listening to a lot of talks about Buddhism, because a lot of Buddhists are vegetarian, and it got me really inspired about it. And I knew you were a vegetarian, and at that time you were talking about ethical parts of being vegetarian, vegan at that time too.
Yeah. But we weren't really into veganism yet because we loved cheese so much and cookies with eggs in it.
Yeah.
So we were in denial. I know. For several years when I was vegetarian, I was in denial. I was like, I'm into this, it's ethical. I don't want to kill animals. But I knew that I was still eating, cheese and milk products. And it was just like, I knew I was still contributing to that industry, but I was sort of denying it.
And I felt... that it wasn't as bad as meat. Eating meat.
Excuses.
Yeah, but really, I didn't know much about it because I'm not that much of a researcher, so I didn't necessarily know exactly what cows and other animals have to go through to provide us with milk.
True, we were ignorant to a certain degree. So it's a mixture of being ignorant and being in somewhat of a denial state.
Yeah.
Eventually, though, it got clearer and clearer for me, and I think for you too, that it's just not acceptable to eat and to eat animal products at all, to use animal products at all. There's different levels, the way to look at it. But for me, the moment that was made the most difference was that I started basically looking at videos about cows and what basically the dairy industry. And there was, dairy cows, they go through a lot of terrible abuse. I mean, they are raped to produce, a calf, so that they're going to start producing milk. So that's the first terrible thing. Then they're kept in terrible conditions. Usually, even the best of conditions are still very confined. It's very small, and and even if you're out roaming the countryside, it's still confined. It's still not. It's
limiting their
freedom.
There's a word for it.
Limiting their freedom, essentially, their ability to roam, and then that's not okay. But okay, what else was going on? Well, there's another thing, and this was what sort of caught me emotionally, that made me go vegan. When the calf is born, it needs milk for the next few months or even a year. I'm not an expert on how long they need to have the milk from the mother before they're weaned, but they need the milk. If you're gonna steal the milk, if you're a milk farmer and you want to sell the milk, you can't have the calf drinking all the milk. You need to take the milk. So what happens is that they take the calf away from its mother. And that, for me, when I was watching some of these videos, with sort of sad music to it and stuff, sure, it's propaganda for the vegan movement, but it works, and it is true that when I saw this happening, I realized how much of a family tragedy this is.
Yeah.
Here's a mother and a child, and although they're not as sophisticated, as intelligent maybe as humans, the natural bond between the mother and child is exactly the same. It's the same emotions. It's the same amount of attachment that goes on. And then what they do is they take the calf away from the mother. They kidnap the calf, sends it off somewhere to become another dairy cow, or to become to be slaughtered or whatever. And there the mother is crying out for the child. And this is a known fact that when they take the calf away, the mother calf will often sort of cry out for days, and sometimes they escape because they go looking for their calf. They're looking, where is it? Where is my baby? Where's my baby? It's a mother looking for its baby. Sometimes they jump the fence, starts roaming around the area looking for their calf. And this just made me like, this is horrible. Imagine taking a child away from its mother, like a human child. It would be, it's horrible. The child would be scared, the mother would be scared and depressed, and then it's just, and this cycle is perpetuated every time you consume animal products, like milk products, essentially.
And it's quite sad, really.
Very sad. I mean, it's terrible.
And it's not to judge other people. People make their own choices, and
Sure.
If they choose to do so, they will do so. That's okay for them. Well, it's not really. They probably hurt doing it. But I know for my sake that it's not cool. I'm not digging that.
No, it's very sad. It's very terrible. And Ryan, hey Ryan, says you saw this mother cow calf video in a certain documentary. No, it was I was just surfing YouTube, looking at video after video about this kind of situation. I guess there was one in particular, but I can't remember which exactly it was. But it made me just go like, nope, I am vegan right now. Like this is it. Right now, I am going vegan 100% forever. This is not acceptable. I am not going to ever contribute to this craziness anymore.
Yeah, and this happened at the same time for me. We were, at this point, you were in London and I was in Norway, and we were speaking on Skype all the time, and pretty much exactly the same story. Might have been the same video.
Yeah, we're always, cross-pollinating ideas back and forth, and so we typically go through similar changes at similar times. Yeah, so that was it. I threw away my Oreo cookies. I had some Oreo cookies. They're not vegan in UK. They're vegan in the US, I think, but not in the UK. So I had them right there. I didn't eat another one. I just threw it away. I went out, I put it in the dump just so it was far away, so I wouldn't. But I knew I wouldn't really go back to it anyway, because this was an ethical choice. It doesn't have to do with me, and this is the power behind ethical veganism. I can hurt myself as much as I want. I can go out and I can eat crappy food. I can feel like shit. That's okay. It's just me. I'm just hurting myself, and I'm taking responsibility for that. Maybe I'm okay with the suffering. No problem. When you eat animal products, though, you are hurting someone else. You are taking away the life of someone else. You are disrespecting life in itself. It's just, for me, that's not acceptable. I'm not, enough with the sort of propaganda. Enough with that. But Ryan, so there's no possible way a baby calf is unaffected if we eat dairy. Well, I guess it is if it happens on a farm and they don't take the calf away from the mother and they just take a little bit of milk.
I guess technically, no matter how much amount of milk you take from the cow is perfected to make a certain amount of milk. To a certain amount of animals.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go there and take a bottle of milk from a cow, that's not going to make any difference, pretty much.
Probably.
But that's not the point, because no one does that. And if you do that, if you live out on a farm and you take a little bit of milk here and there from a cow, then the question becomes more about, why is there a cow there, and how does it live? What's its living conditions, and are you limiting its freedom by making a fence so it can't move around the way it should? I mean, it's a tricky issue, but I'd say either way, it's unacceptable, and especially if we're looking at like the modern dairy industry and buying milk products, like most people do, it's always going to contribute to this cycle, which is a bad cycle.
Yeah, and I always, in ethical situations with animals, I always imagine if it was a human, you know, it would just be super strange and weird to take the milk of another human unless they said like, "Here, take my milk."
Yeah.
And you know, the worst would be to put a human in the same situation as a cow and kind of constrict their movement and all that stuff. But I would say it's still unethical, even any amount.
Riding a horse, same kind of thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You can't just go up to another animal, whether it be a human or a horse, and just say, I'm going to ride you now. I'm going to sit on top of you and force you to go where I want you to go. I mean, to me, that's
there's of course a grayish area, exactly when it comes to horses and possibly dogs and stuff, where there might be a companionship, where the horse might even enjoy taking you for a ride.
Yeah. There are lots of gray areas here when it comes to these kind of things. Diane says many calves are confined to small crates to make veal. Yeah, I think that because they don't want to develop the muscles or something. The muscles should be pretty they want the meat to be tender, so they don't want them to run around or something. Yeah, I mean, it's horrible. If you are buying animal products, you are contributing to a cycle of abuse, torture, exploitation. Yeah, it's just, and at the very least, it's the biggest problems are this kind of torture and exploitation and killing issues. But there are small subtleties as well. Like, for example, even if you treat your animals well and they live well, etc., there's a certain level of lying, like dishonesty, because the animal probably looks to you, if you're the owner, as a friend who comes with food and this kind of thing. But they don't realize that the owner is actually exploiting them for his or her personal gain, financial gain. There might be some sort of love connection as well. Even the owner might sort of have a feeling of, I love this animal. But in the end, they kill it. In the end, it goes to the slaughterhouse. It's like, that's just like the worst. What is it, the word, like when someone backstabbing, yeah, like when someone svikta. I don't know the word, but yeah, when someone sort of
whatever,
it's deceit, you could say.
But yeah, it's interesting because here on the farm, we're the previous owner decided to rent out an area for alpacas, believe it or not.
Almost like a sheep with a long neck mixed with camel.
Llama-ish.
Yeah.
So when we're sitting and eating dinner, we're actually looking down on these incredibly cute alpacas, and we like it. However, we do talk a little bit about how the ethical part of how it's not ethical really to keep animals in there, and once a year they're shaved to make woolly mittens and stuff. It's not cool, and we see the owner...
like Diane says, it's still slavery. Some human slaves were treated relatively well, but they're still slaves, and that's exactly the right point, because like with the alpacas here, even if they're treated well, it's slavery, right? It's like, it's a perfect example, Diane, because we talk about this a lot too, like how when you take it as a parallel to human slavery, you realize, some of the slaves lived well. They were nice clothes, money. They were free to some degree, but it's slavery. They're not allowed to go when they want. They're under the control of another human, and so it's not really about the amount of torture or physical abuse, even though that goes on as well. It's really about the whole principle of slavery, which is not acceptable in my opinion. So moving on a little bit. So that's how we got into it, and we got super hardcore vegan. We've been ever since. But let's just quickly talk about the definition of ethical. First of all, Ryan says, quote from Tolstoy: veganism serves as a criterion for which we know that the pursuit of moral perfection is the part of humanity.
On the part
of humanity is genuine and sincere. Totally true. Yeah, it's like you cannot preach being an ethical human. You cannot say that you are living ethically if you are abusing another animal, if you are taking away the freedom of another being. It's just it's like a moral
compass.
No, it's not a compass. Moral center beam of the house of ethics.
Yeah.
Jenny says my turning point for overall animal activism came from being a Cirque du Soleil nerd. Many people at my acrobatic schools and I protested against circuses that include animal. Yeah, nice. Circuses are horrible as well. We've been doing our fair share.
We've been ripping down circus
posters on. Yeah, every time there's a circus around town, they put out posters everywhere, and we pull them all down.
It's our part for activism.
Our little activism part, yeah.
Is there something to say about activism, though? Like, does activism?
Well, I thought first I wanted to define ethics, because then I thought we can get into how to promote it. I just wanted first to mention, as I was trying to say that, what is ethics? Why is it unethical for humans to eat meat? And my opinion is that for a lion, it's not unethical to kill and eat meat, because it's its natural diet, it's its natural way.
Yeah.
Humans, though, we're frugivores. We are not naturally inclined to eat animals. So for us, it becomes an unethical choice in terms of ecological ethics, almost.
Yeah, like we do not need to eat animals to survive.
Right. So if we're doing it just because we want the taste of it, or it's our habit. Another gray area exists, in my opinion, when it comes to like survival in a harsh climate. You could say, well, why are you in that harsh climate anywhere? It doesn't really apply today because we have export and import of food, right? But I mean, if someone lives out in the forest in Alaska or something, and they hunt, and that's part of their diet, or if they're tribal sort of natural people that sort of hunt as part of their culture, it's in a gray area, I find, because it's like they believe they have to do that in order to eat, to live. And they might have to, unless they want to confine to the normal modern society, which they probably don't. So there's gray areas, but in general, I would say killing is not okay. But again, if I was out in the forest and I was dying of hunger, I would kill an animal to eat. I wouldn't really die myself.
We have to be ethical towards ourselves as well.
Yeah.
We are animals. We are human beings. It's important.
Yeah, if it was truly true that we had to have meat to survive or to be healthy, I would eat meat.
Yeah.
But if I had to do that, if I felt that was necessary, I would kill it myself. I feel like that's the criteria, because contributing to the industry of killing becomes a concentration camp. Basically, it's like a crazy system of exploitation and stuff like that. So. But this is a difficult discussion, you could say. But personally, I'm just against killing unless it's necessary to save your own life. And it's not necessary at all to eat meat or any animal products at all, nutritionally speaking, or anything like that.
Yeah.
Aneta says, what with Christian ethics? Jesus was peaceful and created an ark for all animals, not only for two small humans. Yeah, I mean, Christian ethics, if you look at the first page of the Bible, it says eat fruit and herbs.
Yeah, and the first law of 10 commandments is do not kill.
Yeah.
And honestly, I do not see any way you can avoid that other than eating fruit.
Yeah. So a good point, Aneta. It's all about, first page in the Bible. We have the Bible up there.
Along with 8 to 10, 10.
The Bible and 8 to 10, 10. Those are the two main books we have up there. No, we have lots of books, but those are the Bibles. Yeah, what were you getting into?
Well,
activism.
Activism. Yeah, how there's a lot of people veganism is possibly one of the biggest activism groups in the world.
Yeah.
There's some really fervent people doing activating.
No, doing activism. And yeah, that's true. And we have a question actually that was sent to us from one of our Patreon supporters. I'm not sure if you're watching now, Joffrey. I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Jeffrey or Joffrey? I'm not sure, but Joffrey asked us if we could make a video about what's the best strategy? What's the best way to spread ethical veganism or to end animal suffering? Like, he's passionate about ending animal suffering, like we all are. What's the best way? How can we make the world realize this? How can we spread the word of veganism? And this is a good segue into what you were just talking about. And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about Jeffrey's question a little bit about how to best approach this. How should we make the world vegan, or what can we do to end animal suffering? Activism being one way to do it.
There's different varieties. I guess some people actively go into slaughterhouses and free the animals, being the most extreme. And on the other side, you might not do anything.
Well, digital activism. We are activists, you could say. We are making videos promoting veganism.
But is that activism? Or is it just, this is awesome, this is what I do, follow my example?
I don't know. I think so. What do you guys think? Is it activism, what we're doing, making videos? Maybe it's in the gray area there.
I guess activism has to be something you actively do.
Yeah, but we actively make videos.
Yeah,
but that doesn't matter.
But not for that matter.
So activism is one way of doing it, right? All kinds of types of activism, but it's up to each and every individual to decide how they want to do things. But me personally, though, I have my own opinion, and I personally don't like activists that are too violent in their ways. And don't get me wrong, because here we have a crazy industry of animal abuse. It's going on right now. It's terrible. We need to stop it. And there are people out there, demonstrating and fighting for the animals and really, really trying to convince people to stop eating animals, to spread this cause. But my problem is that I'm not entirely sure, and I might be wrong, but I'm not entirely sure that this is an effective way to convince people. Because I know from my experience before I was vegan and stuff, when I see people doing violent demonstrations or stuff like that, even like vegan stuff, when they show like how the animals are suffering and stuff, I just get annoyed. I just like, oh, those crazy people. Oh, they're so obnoxious. They're disturbing me. They're disturbing. And you're just in your own little bubble. You don't see past your own. You can't see something you can't see. That's what the problem is. Which is why I personally promote or think it's better to have a peaceful approach where you pretty much spread propaganda rather than violently promoting something. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much at the same point. I don't know. I mean, it's obviously that people rescuing animals from slaughterhouses do succeed in some way.
Yeah, but no one is going to go vegan after, but they're saving the animals.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But they don't, though. They come probably and take them back. But
in most cases, probably.
I mean, here's the thing. There are so many ways to do things that no one can really know what's most effective and what's good. I just know for myself, I don't personally like to be sort of up in people's faces and just like, hey, you have to go vegan. You have to go vegan. I wish the world would go vegan, but I'm not going to be up in their face about it. Let's see what people have to say here. Aneta says, very good point. I think all the time about activism. One way, be the change you want to see, but I can't see nothing when I see ignorance. Yeah, be the change you want to see is like, I think, number one strategy. We'll get into that.
Ryan is saying, should we all make YouTube channels, even small channels, like how you approach it, or are there enough YouTube channels? There's never enough of anything. If you're inspired, definitely go for it. It's every single word counts towards the bigger whole. And
absolutely, eventually everyone is making YouTube channels, and everyone's making YouTube channels what they like. And if everyone likes veganism, it becomes a trend and everyone loves it, like it is going on right now. It's the word, it's like fire spreading like a wildfire, and a new channel here and a new channel there and a new Facebook page there and a new group there.
But of course, only do this if you're inspired about actually that, because don't do it if you feel like you should. Like, oh, I'm a vegan, I should make videos. I don't really want to, but I should probably. That's not gonna have any power.
True. You got to do what's inspiring to you.
Mm-hmm.
Smart to use the internet. Yeah, I think the internet is a good source. But again, if you want to go out on the street and be an activist and that's what you're inspired about, definitely go for it. Was that a strange sound?
The book fell. Biology book.
The biology book fell. Diane, I think making videos is a form of activism. Yeah, I think so too. James Aspie, a peaceful activist. He's really great. You know,
I haven't really heard about him.
That's the guy who was silent for 1 year.
Oh,
he didn't speak a word for 1 year.
Sounds familiar.
Voiceless for the animals. James Aspie is like super. He's doing a great job, I think, to spread the message. So what's I feel like I almost now said that activism is not good. That's not really what I meant. I think what I meant was that when, like Joffrey's question, which was what's the best way to spread veganism, what's the best way to help end animal suffering, I have very clear, in my mind, it's very clear. The only way to go about it is to be the change you want to see in the world, like Annette says. You have to embody the change and be vegan yourself, and you have to inspire people about it, because the truth is, my whole life I've heard people talk about veganism, and I've been like, oh my god, they're crazy vegans.
I thought vegans were crazy before.
So. Yeah, it was just, there's a block, like I just have a permanent block, like, no, they're crazy. I made up my mind already. Vegans are crazy. So nothing anyone would ever do would change my mind. And if someone tried to change my mind, or if someone came with a sign and said, oh, look at the animal suffering, it would just reinforce the conception that I had about them already, that they're crazy and that they go shoving grotesque pictures in people's faces. You know, we're all in this bubble in that sense. It was only when I got inspired about seeing someone who was vegan, and in my case, this was like the Rasta people in Jamaica. A lot of them are vegan, and I was looking up them. And when I traveled there, I was inspired by what they were doing. So I was inspired to see someone embracing veganism. The Dan the Man, the Life Regenerator. I was inspired to see someone eat that way. So I'm not inspired by hearing the information as much as I'm inspired by seeing it being embodied in another human. Which is why I think the most powerful way to spread veganism is to be an inspirational vegan. And that doesn't mean going around telling everyone they should be vegan. It means going around being vegan and making it look easy, making it look fun, making it look cool. And when people ask, sharing information with them and letting them know that, you know, it's pretty epic being vegan. It's pretty good for the animals, for the planet, etc. And you know, if they want to know, you can share some of the gruesome facts of the animal industry, and you could just be like, I don't want to be part of that, you know. And then you don't have to tell them that they shouldn't be part of it. You just want to tell them, I don't want to be part of that at all. And then they can do their own, you know.
I just remembered there's a video on YouTube with a guy going into McDonald's with a computer and showing people chicken McNuggets, how it's made.
Yeah.
And there's this guy just going, I ain't never eaten chicken again. So, you know, there's different forms of activism. Maybe some things are cool.
Yeah, and who knows? Small parts. That guy might have definitely eaten chicken again.
Yeah, but at least
who
knows. I mean,
at least he knows. Yeah. Let's see some comments here. Diane says, I think sometimes when people are very intense about it, it has the opposite effect. Yeah, exactly. People get annoyed and turn off veganism. Occasionally, I even think now I'm going to eat more animal products to spite you. Exactly. Like people just...
When people tell other people to stop smoking. I remember in high school, there were people smoking and, oh, you should stop smoking. And it's like, no, it's not working. I'm going to smoke more now.
Yeah, because you're saying that you know better than them, and then they feel like they have to prove themselves. It's just psychology.
Yeah.
You don't want to accuse anyone of anything ever, because that immediately put them on they immediately reject everything you have to say in order to defend themselves. That's just a natural thing.
Ryan is saying there's a YouTuber called John Rose. Do you like his approach with his solid food vacation juice feasts technique to get people to realize the plant way? I haven't heard of him.
I've heard of him. I've seen lots of his videos. I think he's pretty cool, but I don't know enough about his protocol to really comment on it. But generally speaking, I don't really think juice feasting is a good idea. I just eat more fruit. Just if you want to transition, just start eating more fruit. Fruit is the way to go, in my opinion.
But you know, anything that gets you off animal products, is awesome.
Yeah. Jenny says, I agree. I don't think being aggressive helps get the message out. Positive messages have stronger effects, definitely. And Ryan says, good point, saying how I don't want to be part of it instead of saying you should be part of it. Yeah. So being the change, that's what it's all about. I know personally, when I'm in situations with people that eat meat, I can choose to either think about the horrible stuff that they're basically inflicting on animals and be like, you know, oh my God, that's terrible what they're doing. I need to stop them. But I know intelligently that me trying to stop them by promoting veganism or something like that, like we just spoke about, will probably do more harm than good. In other words, I have to be smart. I have to have a strategy. You have to, you know, it's kind of like being behind enemy lines and you have to blend in. You don't want to get caught and you want to do like a stealth mission. You don't want to kill anyone. You just want to get the job done and get out of there. You have to do the same thing with veganism. You have to sneak up on them and make them vegan without them knowing it.
Yeah, this is very interesting, I think, because we've experienced this kind of in our family during family dinners.
Yeah,
and we need
like
to think
extended family, like aunts, and because our parents, of course, they know everything. Our mom is vegan, and you know we talk about a lot. But like when we have big Christmas dinners with the extended family and stuff, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think we need to think about the ethical for humans part as well, because if we were to try to spread veganism during the family Christmas dinner, holiday, whatever, it would create really bad vibes, and everyone would just become angry, and there would become a big discussion, and we would create more negativity than if we didn't.
Yeah.
So we generally almost never talk about being vegan and saying, oh, you know, you're eating cow's milk there, whatever. But being the way we are and eating the stuff we do, eating vegan stuff at these family gatherings, for example, slowly over time has become more normal.
Yeah, they got used to it.
Yeah, and we've even had people from our family kind of being interested behind, looking over their shoulder and kind of being like, kind of interested in
asking questions.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's when you are inspired about what you're doing and you're doing it because you love it and you're not pushing it on anyone else, it naturally becomes interesting to other people and they respect you for it. Mm-hmm. And that does a much better job of promoting veganism than trying to shove it in their face, which creates a defensive situation psychologically. Mm-hmm. Olivier says, that is why I've always been more interested in fruitarianism than veganism, because veganism focuses on what not to eat when fruitarianism focuses on what to eat. I find the approach more joyful. Mm-hmm. Definitely, it's always better to focus on the positive, and we say that all the time, right? And it's like a cliche, but it's really true. And you got to think about what that means. It means focusing on what you can do something about. It means focusing on what you are going to eat, focusing on the positive aspects rather than the negative aspects.
Mm-hmm. And arguably, fruitarianism is the most ethical you can be as a human. I mean, you're still going to eat bacteria, but
that's again part of, we are meant to eat bacteria, and actually we probably don't kill them. They probably just live inside us, like the way they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. And it's you're not killing the plant. Fruitarianism is the ultimate ethical way of eating. You're not even killing the plant. It's a gift from the plant. So definitely, but that's where a lot of people. There are a few different types of camps. Some people go all the way and they say like, I'm not going to ever I'm going to be ethical fruitarian, and that's okay too. But personally, my ethical decisions are mostly based on not killing animals. And then the fact that I eat fruit has more to do with how it makes me feel, and the fact that I believe it's the optimal food for us as a species. That's over in the health part of things, like we always talk about on this channel.
Yeah.
But the ethical side of things, yeah, definitely a huge factor for me. I love I'm passionate about being respectful to animals and not exploiting them ever in any way by avoiding to buy and contribute to animal exploitation and animal products. And I think we just have to accept that the world is the way it is. We cannot force anyone else to do anything, but we can
inspire them.
We can inspire them, yeah. Just like
spread the word.
Spread the word, just like I always like to think of it as a forest fire. A forest fire spreads very quickly, and it spreads because each tree is burning. So each individual tree, all it has to do in order for the fire to spread, not that they don't want the fire to spread, obviously, it's a bad thing, but it's just as an analogy. As long as the tree itself is burning, the fire will spread. Yeah. So you don't have to try to lit people on fire and spread veganism that way. All you have to do is burn strongly yourself, and then the fire will spread. The stronger you burn, the more passionate you are, and more kind and compassionate and strategic, psychologically speaking, when you communicate with this about this with other people, the more effective you're going to achieve your goal of ending animal suffering.
So basically, moral of the story: you don't need to go out into the forest and light trees on fire. You can light yourself on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Much better.
Much better. That being said, if you're an activist and you want to go out and do the aggressive thing, and that's what you're passionate about, well, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. And I'm sure it also, some of that appeals to a certain amount of people as well, and that's also good. And we got to shock people sometimes too. That's in a kind way. It's about being respectful, though. That's what it is. You can still be pretty hardcore and say, hey, look at this, people. This is crazy. What's going on? Please look at this. As long as you're not disrespecting them or invading their personal space or accusing them. That's really what it's all about. You don't want to accuse anyone of anything.
Yeah. Jenny is mentioning a very good way to do things. She says, my family always ends up liking my vegan food at holidays better than what they cooked. I've learned to make extra. And for sure, become a good vegan cook. There's a lot of bad vegan cooks out there. God, there's a lot of bad vegan cooks. So get good at making good food and bring it to gatherings and show people that, guys, you can make some pretty epic tacos, for example, and they'll be like, oh yeah, vegan food is actually kind of good.
Yeah.
People like being special, and people like eating vegan food, even if they're a self-proclaimed big meat eater. Everyone thinks it's cool.
Yeah, because it's an instinctual thing, I believe. It's in our nature to not want to hurt animals. So it's just, you got to appeal to that part of people and maybe make it almost like a casual thing. Like, oh yeah, this is so nice. You don't even have to, kill animals. Cool. You don't have to say, see, you don't have to kill animals like that. You just want to be relaxed and make it a cool kind of casual thing. And they go like, oh, maybe, yeah, it's true. And then they think about it. It's like, wow, I don't have to kill animals, and I don't have to create family tragedies in the calf situation. And I don't have to kill male chickens. That's another thing. If you're eating eggs, doesn't matter if it's free range or organic or outdoors or whatever. If you're eating eggs, you are contributing to the grinding up or gassing, at least the killing of the male chicks, because they don't produce eggs. So they're seen as a waste product. Yeah. So you cannot ethically eat eggs unless you live on a farm and the chicken lays an egg there, and for some fucked up reason want to go up and eat the chicken menstruation. Like, it's a period. It's a chicken period. And you want to eat it. If you want to do that, be my guest. But then comes the question, why is there a chicken there? Is it confined? Are you exploiting it? And then it becomes a slavery issue again. So it's very, very, it's not okay. Not okay. Aneta, yep, you are be the change you want to see activist. Thank you. Yeah, we feel like that's what we are.
Unless she was referring to Jenny.
Maybe what she said.
I
Well,
guess
we're both. We're all of us are. I think all of us here now today, we are being the change we want to see, right?
And remember that if you're not vegan, it's okay. You do your own thing. It has consequences, but we're not judging you.
No, we're not judging you. But maybe you've become inspired to change.
Yeah.
You know, that could be. We hope so, but we're not invested. And that's another thing. I don't want the world to change. I'm not trying to change the world, actually. That makes come as a shock to some people, but I don't need to change the world. I just live my life according to my principles, and I burn strongly for what I believe in, and I love my life. That's all I'm here to do. And then if the world changes, well, it's always changing, right? So just gotta be ourselves, I think.
Yeah.
Diane says cage-free chickens are usually still treated horribly, packed in warehouses where some never get to be outside, but technically they aren't in a cage. Yeah. You know,
it's a lot of wordplay.
Every time I think about, like when I really sit down and think about all the gruesome things that's going on, it's so unacceptable. It's like there's no freaking way that I would not be vegan. I mean, it's just ridiculously sick what's going on.
Yeah.
And sometimes just at the end there, I just want to say this, like sometimes when I look out the window of a bus or a train or a boat and I see a bird flying next to the car or next to the train or whatever, like I see an animal in its wild state, so beautiful and free, I sometimes almost get this very emotional feeling of just like, wow, we just got to respect each animal, even a little insect. When I see it moving there or doing something, I'm like, wow, there it is, a little, a life, an individual. It could be, I think about someone I love, like, my mother or something. That's someone's mother right there. That's someone's child. That's someone's brother, even if it's an insect. And I just feel an immense sense of like respect that we're all here to do our own thing, including all the different insects and animals and everyone. And sure, accidents happen, step on an ant. It's sad, but that's the way it is. No big deal. But killing something intentionally, though, exploiting an animal, not cool.
You might want to kill something intentionally if it is actively harming you.
Yeah, which would be more of a self-defense situation. Yeah. So it's all about, again, killing, in my opinion, is okay if you need to do it for to take care of your own self, your own body, self-defense kind of thing. But we got to respect life. It's awesome. And we're all here to enjoy it, including every animal on the planet.
Yeah.
Last thing, Aneta says, you don't need to slowly kill your own children by feeding them toxins. Doesn't sound soft. Yeah.
Totally. It's the best way to bring up children, vegan diet, even though some people will say otherwise. But for sure, veganism is the only real way to get nutritionally sound children without being toxified.
That's all for today. I'm pretty tired. After walking around on IKEA, I'm like, oh, so tired.
Yeah.
It's dinner time, and it's been a good hangout.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, everyone. This was an awesome hangout with, every hangout is cool, but this was really cool. So many comments and people joining us. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your support on Patreon. It makes a huge difference in our lives. We really appreciate it.
It's very cool.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Aneta, Diane, Jenny, Olivier, and anyone else watching.
Ryan?
I said Ryan, yeah.
All right. Yeah, well, thanks. We see you again next month.
Hope to see you again next month. And
post a question in the upcoming Q&A, as always. And,
yeah.
Right on. See you guys around.
See you.
Oh, where is the button?
We're still here.
Bye.